Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today we're tackling something huge, getting truly fluent in English. And look, we're not just giving you another app list or some quick fix. We've dug into sources that lay out a complete system, a real blueprint. It's designed to make learning smarter, more effective, and honestly, something you can stick with. Doesn't matter if you're a beginner or feeling stuck.
Exactly. And the whole idea behind this system really is to challenge a big myth. You know, the one that says you need some kind of special talent for languages.
Right, that language gene people talk about.
This framework says basically that's not it. Success isn't about innate gifts. It's all about strategy. The right strategy applied consistently. So we're going to break this roadmap down for you. Think of it in 3 parts: getting your head right, building the core skills, and then the strategies to make it all stick.
Okay, let's dive in, starting with those foundations mindset. Because the sources, they're really clear on this. This is the point where so many people just give up. They hit that wall, feel overwhelmed, and then convince themselves, I just don't have the talent.
And that assumption, that's the very first thing you absolutely have to dismantle. Look, learning a language isn't magic. It's not for a select few. It's a process driven by being consistent and staying curious. If you start out thinking you can't do it, well, you've already set yourself up to fail. The big mental shift, the crucial one, is changing how you see English. Stop seeing it as just another subject you have to study, like history or math.
And start seeing it
as a tool, a really useful tool you get to use.
Okay. That's a big difference psychologically. So instead of that feeling of, I have to study English again.
You flip it. It becomes, okay, cool, I get to use English today. It changes the whole emotional flavor,
So
turns a chore into an opportunity.
I like that.
But this mindset also needs patience. A lot of it.
Yeah.
Which is tough, right? We want results now. What you have to grasp is that language progress. It's often hidden at first. It's not always linear. You might not feel like you've made a huge leap tomorrow or even next week, but every minute you put in, it's literally rewiring things upstairs. Growth is happening.
Okay, so the mindset shift is step 1. But let's be real. That initial excitement can fade pretty fast.
Yeah.
How do you stop that? How do you prevent the motivation dip a week later? And that leads us right into what the sources call the real secret.
Consistency.
Consistency, yeah. That's the absolute bedrock of this whole system.
Yeah.
You really don't need these epic marathon study sessions that just leave you drained. The sources are very strong on this. 15, maybe 30 focused minutes every single day. That's way, way better than trying to cram for 5 hours on a Saturday.
Right.
Think about it like going to the gym. A crazy intense workout once a week, you're just going to get sore, maybe injured, and probably quit. But 20 minutes of moving every day, that builds real lasting strength. Yeah, the analogy they used, comparing it to brushing your teeth. If you skip too many days, things start to, fall apart. That really lands. So, okay, for someone listening right now thinking, all right, I want to try this daily focus. What does that actually look like? What's a manageable dose?
They actually map out a pretty neat English dose daily routine. It's very doable. Like in the morning, maybe listen to an English podcast while you're commuting or making breakfast. Afternoon, read one short article, and crucially, something you're genuinely interested in, not just some random text.
Okay.
Then evening, write maybe 5 simple sentences about your day. Or spend just 3 minutes shadowing a short video clip. We can talk more about shadowing later. The point is, you're touching on the key skills every day, but the time commitment, it's minimal. It adds up.
That sounds really achievable, actually. A good way to weave it in without feeling like it's taking over your life. Okay, so that sets the stage. Now let's get into the nuts and bolts, the core skills themselves, starting with input, how we actually, take the language in. Let's talk listening first, training the ear.
Listening is absolutely foundational. It mirrors how we learned our native language as babies, right? By just being surrounded by sounds. Our brains are wired for this. The primary goal here is just exposure, volume. Don't worry if you only catch half the words in a podcast or TV show at first. That's okay. You're tuning your ear to the rhythm, the intonation, the way sounds blend together in natural speech.
But hang on, if I'm just listening passively and missing a lot, how does that translate into actual learning? How do I get from just hearing it to understanding it?
Good question. That's where active listening comes into play. This isn't just having it on in the background. You take a short clip, maybe just a minute or two, something manageable, and you engage with it deliberately. 3 times.
3 times, okay.
First pass, just listen. Get the gist, the general topic. Second pass, listen again, but this time really focus. Try to understand the details, the specific words. And the third step, this is the really powerful one for fluency. You shadow it.
Okay, shadowing. Explain that. What exactly is it, and why is it supposedly so effective?
Shadowing is when you repeat what the speaker is saying almost at the same time they're saying it. You're trying to mimic everything, their pronunciation, their rhythm, their pauses, their speed.
Like an echo.
Pretty much, yeah.
Wow.
Very close echo. It's powerful because it directly links the sounds you hear to the physical movements your mouth needs to make to produce those sounds. It's kind of a shortcut to sounding more natural because you're practicing the articulation and the melody of the language together. You're training your mouth and your brain simultaneously.
Ah, I see. So it bypasses some of that overthinking, maybe. Okay, that makes sense. Let's move to the second input skill, reading. Also crucial, right, for building vocabulary, understanding grammar in context.
Definitely. And the number one strategy for reading consistently, interest. Simple as that. If you're reading stuff you actually care about, cooking, blogs, tech news, fantasy novels, whatever floats your boat, that interest keeps you coming back.
Makes sense.
And here's the vital tip. Resist that powerful urge to stop and look up every single unfamiliar word.
Oh, wait, isn't that how you learn new words? And isn't it frustrating if you keep hitting words you don't know?
No.
How can you figure out the meaning without breaking your flow constantly?
You rely on context. Think about you do this all the time in your native language without even noticing. The sources use an example like, she whispered softly into his ear. Even if whispered was a new word, the context softly into his ear gives you a really strong clue about what it means.
Right, you can infer it.
Exactly,
Yeah.
You infer. If you stop for every single word, you get bogged down in translation. You're not reading in English, you're deciphering. The goal is to start thinking in the language as you read.
Okay, input covered, listen actively, read for interest, guess from context. Got it. Now, the part that makes a lot of learners nervous, output.
Yeah.
Producing the language. Let's talk speaking. And that big barrier, everyone mentioned the fear barrier, that feeling like you have to be perfect before you even try.
Oh yeah, and that feeling, it's deadly for fluency. It really is. Here's the simple, maybe uncomfortable, but powerful truth. Mistakes are not the enemy. Mistakes are data.
Data.
Yeah, they show you where your gaps are. They're a necessary, unavoidable, totally normal part of the learning process, not the opposite of it. If you're making mistakes, it means you're actually trying, you're stretching your current abilities. You literally cannot become fluent if you let fear keep you silent.
Okay, I hear you, but the fear is real. So how do people start small? How do they break that barrier without the pressure of, say, a full conversation with a native speaker right away?
You start privately. Generate output with zero audience pressure. Talk to yourself.
Seriously, talk to yourself.
Yeah.
Out loud.
Yep. Narrate what you're doing. Okay, I'm making coffee now. Need milk. Where are my keys? Simple stuff. Or record your voice on your phone describing something basic, like what you had for lunch or your plans for the weekend. Listen back later. This forces your brain to retrieve words and build sentences without any social anxiety. Then, when you feel a bit more ready, maybe try those language exchange apps. The sources mention HelloTalk, Tandem, Speaky, places where everyone is learning and practicing. The stakes feel lower.
Right, starting safe and then gradually increasing the challenge. Makes sense. Okay, the final core skill, writing. People sometimes see this as less urgent than speaking, maybe, but the sources argue it's actually super important for training yourself to, well, think in English.
It really is. Writing gives you this unique advantage. Time. It's like slow motion practice for your brain. When you write, you can consciously search for the best word, double-check the grammar, structure your thoughts more logically, all things that are hard to do on the fly in a real conversation. It builds that mental scaffolding.
So what's the manageable daily goal here? We're not talking about writing essays every night, are we?
Oh, heavens, no. Keep it simple. Stick with that daily dose principle. A short diary entry is perfect. Today I went to work. The meeting was long. I felt tired afterwards. That's enough. Or maybe summarize the article you read earlier in a few sentences. And here's where modern tools are great. Use something like Grammarly or even ask ChatGPT to check your writing. But, and this is key, don't just accept the correction. Try to understand why it was corrected. Asks the tool.
Ah, so it becomes a learning opportunity, not just a spell check.
Exactly. It turns the tool into a sort of personalized grammar tutor.
Okay, we've got the mindset, we've got the 4 core skills, listening, reading, speaking, writing. We know we need consistency. Now let's shift to maximizing retention, making sure all this effort actually sticks. Let's talk vocabulary, and specifically, how to avoid just making endless lists of words.
Right, because those long lists of isolated words, they're just incredibly inefficient. Your brain doesn't naturally store language that way. The smarter approach, the one this system really emphasizes, is learning words in chunks. in phrases.
Chunks, like...
Like instead of learning the single word decision, you learn the whole phrase make a decision. Or instead of just interested, you learn interested in something.
Oh. Okay, why is that so much better?
Right.
What's the actual advantage of learning make a decision versus just decision?
It's about automaticity. When you learn the chunk, make a decision, your brain files that away as one complete usable unit. So when you're speaking, you don't have to stop and think, okay, decision. Which verb goes with it? Is it do, take, make? The whole chunk just pops out ready to use.
Ah, I see. It reduces the mental processing needed in real time.
Exactly. It dramatically speeds up your speaking and makes it sound more natural because you're using the prefabricated blocks native speakers use. It bypasses a lot of that on-the-spot grammatical assembly.
That sounds like a huge efficiency gain.
Mm-hmm.
And, okay, tools like Anki or Quizlet, those spaced repetition apps, they can help drill these chunks.
Yeah, they're fantastic for the memorization part, for getting things into your head using spaced repetition. Great tools. But the absolute golden rule for making vocabulary stick, whether it's single words or chunks, is still use it or lose it.
Meaning you have to actively retrieve and use that new chunk soon after learning it.
Precisely. Weave it into that daily diary entry. Make a point of saying it during your self-talk. Try to use it in your next practice conversation. If your brain sees you're not actually using the information, it quite logically assumes, okay, this must not be important, and it gets pruned away. Use equals relevance.
Got it. Use it or lose it. Let's circle back quickly to watching and shadowing, but maybe framing it now as a specific strategy for learning from real, authentic English. This isn't just passive viewing, right?
Definitely not passive. It needs structure to be really effective.
Yeah.
The suggested routine is watch a scene or clip once with English subtitles. Just get the story, understand what's happening. Then watch the same scene again, but this time, subtitles off. Force your ears to do the work to connect the sounds to the meaning you now know is there.
Challenging, but makes sense.
And then you pick a short segment, maybe just a few lines or dialogue, 30 seconds, a minute tops, and you actively shatter it, repeating along, matching the rhythm, the intonation, the speed.
And the sources mentioned some great shows for this, didn't they? One's known for natural conversation.
Yeah, things like Friends, The Office, Modern Family, lots of fast-paced natural dialogue there.
Yeah.
Even something like the BBC's Sherlock can be good for certain types of accents and pacing. The key is finding something you enjoy enough to watch repeatedly.
Right, back to that interest factor again.
Yeah.
Okay, connecting all these pieces. The final strategic element, and maybe the one that ties everything together for long-term fluency, is creating an English environment, making it part of your life, even if you're not living abroad.
This is crucial for shifting English from something you study to something you live. It involves making conscious choices to immerse yourself. Small things, big impact.
Like changing your phone's language setting.
Exactly. Or your computer's OS. Follow English-speaking creators on YouTube or Instagram. Listen to English music and maybe look up the lyrics.
Make it unavoidable, basically.
Pretty much. But the most powerful tactic, the one that really accelerates things, though it sounds a bit weird at first, is to actively practice thinking in English.
Thinking in English. How does one even start doing that? It sounds quite abstract.
It starts small. It's about consciously directing your inner voice. When you see an object, don't just see it and think the word in your native language. Actively think the English word. See a tree, think tree. See a car, think car. When you're planning something in your head, try to do it in English. Okay, first I need to finish this report, then I will call Sarah. After that, I can make dinner.
You're basically narrating your own life internally, but in English.
Yes. You're forcing that inner monologue, which is constantly running anyway, to operate in your target language.
And how does that actively help more than, say, just translating things in your head?
Because it cuts out a step. Translation is usually thought in native language, mental translation, output in English. 3 steps.
Right.
Thinking directly in English becomes thought in English, output in English. Only 2 steps. By consciously practicing this internal narration, you gradually, eventually, start to eliminate that middle translation step.
Okay.
And that is a huge part of what separates someone who is proficient from someone who feels truly fluent. That processing becomes faster, more automatic.
Wow. Okay. That's a powerful concept. So let's recap. We've gone through this whole integrated system from the sources. The essential mindset shift, the 4 core skills practiced consistently, listening, reading, speaking, writing, and then these key strategies for making it stick. Learning in chunks, using shadowing, maintaining consistency, and building that immersive environment, including thinking in English. That covers the blueprint.
That's the whole framework. Now, the crucial part, Putting it into practice without getting overwhelmed. The final action plan is vital here. Don't try to implement all 10 things tomorrow morning. That's a recipe for disaster, for burnout.
Right. Start small.
Yep. Exactly. The advice is pick just 2 habits from this entire system. Maybe it's the daily 15-minute podcast listen and the 5-sentence diary entry, just 2. And focus only on making those 2 habits stick for, say, 30 days. Nail those down first.
And track it, right? Keep a log.
Absolutely. Write down what you did each day. Listen for 15 minutes. Wrote 5 sentences. Seeing that streak builds momentum. And importantly, celebrate the small wins. Did you understand a new phrase from context today? Awesome. Win. Did you manage to say 1 sentence without mentally translating it first? Huge step forward. Celebrate it.
Yeah.
Just remember, remind yourself constantly, this isn't a race, it's a journey, it's about accumulation. Every single word you learn, every sentence you manage to form, every mistake you make and learn from, it's all permanent progress. Focus on the consistency, not just the speed.
Okay, so for everyone listening, what does this deep dive boil down to for you? We've heard that the ultimate goal isn't about sounding like a perfect robot, it's about connection, right? Communication. So maybe think about this. Out of all those environmental tweaks we discussed, changing your phone language, following creators, thinking in English, which one small daily change feels like it could give you the biggest bang for your buck? Which one could most effectively shift English from being that subject you study to becoming a constant, useful, maybe even indispensable tool in your everyday life? Maybe just focus on making that single shift starting today.